Hey, how's it going guys? Nate here, and today we've got a lot of new information about Fallout 4, particularly regarding modding and exactly how that's going to play out, as well as the new survival mode, which Bethesda has finally given us a release window for. But first we're going to talk a little bit about mods, because Fallout 4 is going to be one of the first ever console games that will allow mods to be ported into it. So as a result, a lot of people have began to speculate exactly how is that going to work out. Some have suggested that only certain mods that Bethesda, Microsoft, and Sony hand pick will be made available on consoles. Others saying that only certain weapon and armor mods will be available, simply because the console's hardware just wouldn't allow it to do anything else. Well, fortunately, all of those rumors can now finally be put down to rest for the better. So here's what Bethesda's head honcho Todd Howard said about it. He said, quote, "The plan is that it goes through Bethesda.net. But outside of things that we would normally take down, we take down things on the Steam Workshop, for instance. If it's got things that are illegal or stuff like that, we'll do the exact same thing here." So essentially what Todd Howard is saying is that as long as it's not in violation of the already previously established community guidelines, pretty much every mod is fair game. So if you want to mod a new location into the game, a new quest, a new NPC, a new weapon, a new piece of armor, all that stuff can be done and will be available on consoles, and they won't be cherry picking, so to speak. However, that said, things that violate the community guidelines, of course, will be restricted. So, using a copyrighted asset from another game or pornographic content or copyrighted music, that's not going to be acceptable, as it isn't already on the PC with the Steam Workshop. However, despite all of this newfound freedom, consoles still are not entirely off the leash. There are still going to be some restrictions here and there, so to speak. However, these restrictions are all mainly hardware related, so I don't think it's a secret by now that typically PCs that are well built are generally built off of much better hardware than that of our peasant boxes, so to speak. Typically PCs can just do more. Better processors, better graphics cards equals smoother gaming experience, and that pertains to mods as well. There will be a lot of mods available, very likely, that work very well and very smoothly on the PC, whereas they'll lag a lot on consoles due to the fact that they're so taxing on the system. So some mods on the PC that generate, like, for instance, 10 or 100 Deathclaws and 100 Brotherhood of Steel members, that might work very well on the PC and be smooth, but on a console, due to its hardware restrictions, it'll be very choppy. It'll cause massive FPS issues, and likely at times even crash the entire game. So that is something to be weary about, but other than the hardware restrictions and the already previously mentioned community guidelines, altogether console users get a lot of freedom here, so that's pretty nice. Next, also pertaining to mods, Bethesda talked a little bit about how they intend to implement it, because people have been wondering exactly how will this work? How will I get a mod on my console? Will I have to go on my computer and download it from there, put it on a USB? Will there be a new marketplace available? How is that going to work? Well, apparently it's going to be very similar to the Steam Workshop in the sense that you download the mod and it goes to the appropriate location without any real hassle. Here's what their El Presidente of Public Relations said on Twitter, and no, the title's not actually in Spanish, but he said, quote, "The idea is you go to play the game, and there's a menu option, and you click on it, and there's a bunch of stuff for you to download. You click on the stuff you want, and start playing the game with these new mods. We really want it to be a streamlined, fun experience," end quote. So this is also pretty cool. Essentially what they're dictating is that, hey, this is going to be almost the exact copy of the Steam Workshop. You just download what you want, no more hassles necessary, we'll take care of the rest. We'll be the middleman in this sense, and I really like that. It's going to be a really cool thing for consoles, because typically us console users aren't really used to messing around, moving around folders and things like that, and it doesn't look like we'll have to be anytime soon, so I found that pretty cool. And finally, I'd like to add before we stop talking about mods, is that I really hope other developers look at this and try and emulate the same thing. I hope Rockstar sees this and says, wow, look at what Fallout 4 is doing with mods on consoles. The users really like it. Let's do the same thing here. I hope it becomes a precedent in a sense, and fuck off Windows 10, I don't like you. Anyway, I hope it becomes a precedent in a sense, where other developers see this and they want to emulate that, and they want to bring it into their game, making it the norm. Because altogether, this doesn't really hurt anyone. Even if you're on PC, it allows the communities to get a lot more blended. For instance, if you're going on Reddit and you're looking at a PC subreddit for a game like Fallout, you're going to see a lot of mods and things like that, and it's going to be very alienating if you're a console user that doesn't have access to those same things. Whereas now that barrier is kind of being chipped away a bit and allows a bit more interconnectedness, so to speak, and really just allows these two communities that are generally very separated from each other to get a little bit closer. And the closer they get, the better, as the internet has taught us. So I'd just like to add that. But moving on to survival mode, we've got some pretty good news. So Bethesda has just confirmed that by the end of this week, they hope to finally have the survival mode update ready and available. So this is pretty huge, although it does kind of suck. Now, this week's their spring break. So by the end of it, that last day, that last glorious Sunday, will be the first day they get to play survival mode. But other than that, that's a pretty cool thing. I'm really glad that they're releasing this, and it seems that it's going around, it's coming around pretty fast, and I'm glad we're going to finally get to experiment with starvation and battling the elements in a sense. That's pretty exciting. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like if you liked, dislike if you disliked. I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out, everybody.